Welcome to the hottest movie review on the internet today, the A-List Review. I'm your host, the Game Changer, Wes Troop. And with the release of a new Scream film on the horizon, I thought it would be a great idea to go back and check out the original classic. So we're going to hop into our mint-flavored time machine and head back to the year 1996. My review of the 1996 horror slasher film, Scream, coming up now. Alright, well that's the show. I'll be back with another review very soon. But until then, don't forget to subscribe right here on YouTube. youtube.com/westside515. Like the show on Facebook, facebook.com/WesTroopAlist. And of course, you can follow me on the Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Wes A-List. Until next time, Troop out. After the death of two high school students in the small town of Woodsboro, California, Sidney Prescott is already dealing with the anniversary of her mother's death and starts to receive phone calls and even start getting attacked by a masked murderer. As the bodies begin to pile up in a massacre that seems to resemble a horror movie itself, Sidney and her friends try to figure out who the killer is before he can get to them. So what did I think of Scream? I thought it's an outstanding slasher film. It's directed by Wes Craven, who's also known for directing other horror films such as The Last House on the Left, The Hills Have Eyes, The People Under the Stairs, and of course, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Scream had its premiere in Los Angeles on December 18th, 1996, and had its wide release on December 20th, 1996, and was a hit with both audiences and, surprisingly, critics alike. The opening sequence to the film is fantastic and one of the best in horror movie history, as it introduces us to the iconic killer who would be known as Ghostface, and gives us a brilliant move that at the time would be considered crazy. One thing that set Scream apart from typical slasher films was its smart script, with a lot of nudge-nudge, wink-wink jokes towards the genre, and actually ends up becoming a satire. It's also fun that in the group of teens there are fans of horror movies who know the tropes and cliches and what to do and what not to do in some of these scenarios they find themselves in. The comedy certainly works well, and there are good laugh-out-loud moments throughout. The film can be gory, bloody, and there are some creative kills, some of which are intentionally funny. There's also some nice touches of atmosphere, suspense, tension, and even creepiness during the Ghostface encounters with stalking the victims and the phone calls he makes. There's also a handful of fun jump scares that don't come off as lame. The whodunit mystery works as well and keeps you guessing until the reveal, and even if you've seen it before, it's still a fun experience on a rewatch, of which I think this first film at least has a lot of rewatchability. I also thought it was a breath of fresh air that the killer was a regular human and not some unstoppable supernatural killer. I also forgot that the film takes place in a course of few days, and how much of it takes place at Stu's house, but all of the sequences there are spectacular, including the finale. The cast stars Neve Campbell as Sidney Prescott, the high school teen dealing with the death of her mother a year prior and now is being stalked by a killer. Courtney Cox as Gail Weathers, the news reporter Sidney despises for spreading conspiracies about her mother's death. David Arquette as Dewey Riley, the goofball deputy of the town. Skeet Ulrich as Billy Loomis, Sidney's boyfriend. Rose McGowan as Tatum Riley, Sidney's best friend and Dewey's little sister. Matthew Lillard as Stu Mocker, Billy's best friend and Tatum's boyfriend who throws a big party. Jamie Kennedy as Randy Meeks, their film buff friend who knows the do's and don'ts of horror movies. And Drew Barrymore as Casey Becker, the first teen to have an encounter with Ghostface. There's also a number of fun cameos, such as Henry Winkler as the school principal, and Wes Craven himself as Fred the janitor, in an interesting costume of choice. The film, of course, would go on to spin off a series of sequels. Scream is one of the best horror films of the 90s, revitalized the slasher film, and brought a whole new generation of fans into the genre. Number-wise, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10, which gives it the A-list rating of A-list approved. That's right, it gets the A-list seal of approval. Alright, well that's the show. I'll be back with another review very soon. But until then, don't forget to subscribe right here on YouTube. youtube.com/westside515. Like the show on Facebook, facebook.com/westtroupealist. And of course, you can follow me on the Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd @WesAList. Until next time, Troop out.